finest known, specializing in retirement portfolios through precious metals commodity investments. Information about Finest Known's gold investment program and other precious metal investments is available at 1-866-697-GOLD.
Hello, and welcome to Wealth and Wisdom with the Market Guys. I'm James DeGiorgia.
And I'm Jeff Carbaz.
On today's show, we're going to discuss how public relations can help build a business or reputation. Jeff, who do we have to talk on this subject today?
Well, James, today our guest is David Reeves, founder and president of Reeves-Laverdure Public Relations. He's also an award-winning reporter and editor at several newspapers in New England and Florida. Also joining us is Diana Laverdure, vice president of Reeves-Laverdure Public Relations, a professional writer for over 20 years. Her works have appeared in a wide variety of local, regional, and national media. Thanks for being on our show today. It's good to be here.
Thank you.
I'd like to first point out that you were local. You're based in Boca Raton, and you've been in the public relations business for more than 20 years?
Yeah, I've been in the business for 20 plus years, and our firm was founded about 14 years ago in Boca.
So how do you define publicity, and how is it different from other types of marketing? Because essentially PR is marketing.
PR is very definitely marketing, and one of the major differences is we're bombarded today with all sorts of media messages, advertising on the internet, billboards when you're driving down the highway. And publicity is basically promoting someone's product or services through the journalistic side of the media. People tend to are media hounds, and they believe what they read. So a well-crafted PR program will promote that product or service through the journalistic side of the media.
How does that work for a small firm like yours in what we would call maybe a third or fourth market? And it's not New York City, it's not Los Angeles, it's not Chicago. We're in a suburb really of Fort Lauderdale. And
well, that's an excellent question because there really is no longer any such thing as a sub-market or a secondary market, and that's very compelling because people often think, well, I'm in Boca Raton or I'm in, somewhere else in the country. How can I gain the same kind of media exposure, and how can I choose a firm? Do I have to choose a firm that's in New York? The media has become so national and international. You can be working with a reporter from Time magazine that's based in Cleveland, and so it's more important now that just agencies know what to do rather than where they are, and how to communicate with the media rather than where they're based.
Yeah, and there also was a time, James, when all of the major publications were on 4 or 5 blocks on Madison Avenue in New York, and that's no longer the case. As Diana said, they're dispersed all throughout the country, and there's not one real center of where media is based. And with the advent of the internet over the last 10, 15 years, we're as easily in contact with a journalist in Alaska as we could be across the street in Fort Lauderdale.
Fascinating. So how does public relations differ from traditional advertising or other marketing outlets that people will focus on?
Number one and number two and number three are credibility. And the reason for that is that all other marketing outlets, whether it be direct mail, direct response, advertising, are all you telling your audience how wonderful you are. Public relations, and more specifically publicity, is the only form of marketing where somebody else is telling your audience, and that somebody else is the media. And the media is very credible. People, we still really believe and trust what we read and watch on TV and hear on the radio, and that's our trusted news source. So if you can tap into the media and use that vehicle to discuss how wonderful you are, it's much more strong than you telling someone that you're wonderful.
And it really has to do with then building a track record too, with what you're saying, being credible and being and actually ending up to pan out.
Well,
as well.
a good public relations firm actually has two sets of clients. One the company that we're representing, and the other the media. And over the years, it's very important for the media to understand that when we're contacting them, it's about a good story idea. And so we become a very important resource for the reporters covering different areas of their newspapers or TV segments.
It would seem to me that, it's much more important now for the media to get these stories, in the sense that everybody's fighting for content. We've had an explosion, of media. I mean, I guess the fair question is, what's the best, what's the strongest, form of media for public relations, and considering that the content.
Well, there is a proliferation of media opportunities now, and really there was a time where somebody might scoff at getting an article in a small community newspaper, but right now that article in the small community newspaper is also posted on the internet, and so it's very important for that story to be well crafted, and for the PR firm and the client to provide the proper information, because an article, like I said, whether it's in the Wall Street Journal or in a small community paper, that is going to be posted on the internet for years to come.
I guess it's also to consider that media has become incestuous, in the sense that, say, Boca Raton News runs a story, it can be picked up in London and referred to in London in a London paper, and there's no action by Boca News to get the story to them. It's just that somebody is sitting around all day desperately looking for content to fill their pages so they can sell their advertising.
Right, and not to mention the blogs, the proliferation of blogs that are out there. So the double-edged sword of technology now is, it used to be if you had a positive story in a small paper, well, it was okay, it was beneficial, but it wasn't going to really maybe have a huge impact. And if contrarily, if you had a negative story, well, okay, it might go away, when you throw the paper away. Now it's even more important than ever to control your publicity and make sure that your story gets told properly, because it's going to be out there for a very long time. If it's positive, that's wonderful. If it's negative, it's not easy to get rid of it.
I mean, we've had clients where we've had a story in a newspaper, and within the next week or so, it's appeared in 30 or 40 other newspapers who are part of a larger newspaper syndicate. And then those articles tend to, like Diana said, they will stay on the internet for a long period of time.
How do you view, traditionally, the outlets have been through print, but now we're moving into audio? Example, one of the research firms that James and I work with, he's now taken to doing 3 times a week a morning video of what's going on, and clearly YouTube is becoming a bigger and bigger presence as well. What's your view of audio?
Right, well, more and more even traditional print media are telling us that if you can provide a multimedia story, one with audio, one with video, that you will have a better chance of obtaining publicity with them, because even traditional, what were once thought of as traditional print papers, now they all have their online versions, and the online versions have to be multimedia. So you're absolutely correct in that audio, video will become more and more important as time goes on, and that even, that includes whether it's with a traditional print outlet or whether it's with bloggers or whether it's with, again, people just setting up their own video or YouTube accounts. So it's very, very critical to...
Well, and reporters today, too, frequently newspaper reporters are going to their stories with video cameras to film segments for their online versions. And conversely, what had been traditionally television outlets are now also print outlets online. You'll see, large networks, MSNBC, CNN, that also have print versions online.